BigSky found his foot on the country's music scene after the release of his hit song Fire. Fast forward to the year 2020 with a couple of hit tracks. Along the way, BigSky released a new track titled POLO, where he features the likes of Sbhanga, Boii and Murphy. This is the lead single from his newly released album entitled It's Time that he dropped at the end of last year. DJ BigSky joins me now on Zoom to tell us more about his offering as well as the release of his new album. BigSky, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, man. Good to have you on the show this morning. Before we get into your latest project, BigSky, just take us through how your music career started and how it's been like.
Well, man, it's been a long journey. I started a couple of years back as a DJ, mostly in Soweto, and moved on to manage a couple of labels and started my own label, released my own music, and 2 years back, well, last year, Fire broke through. Yeah, it's 2 years because it's 2019. Fire broke through and put me on the pedestal in the nation.
Okay. And now tell us about your name, DJ BigSky. How did that come about?
Well, the idea there is just to grow big and touch the sky. I think it's everyone's dream, you know. So even for myself, yeah. So that's how the name came about.
All right, let's talk about the type of music that you typically produce and why it was your preferred genre.
I'd like to place myself mostly as a dance music producer more than a piano producer. It's just with the piano, it was the genre that broke me into the scene mostly, you know. But I really enjoy dance music. I enjoy kwaito. I enjoy Afro. And I'm a piano, of course.
Okay. Now, the making of your new project, POLO, I mean, what's this song about?
Of course, it's about polo drivers, you know.
What about polo drivers now?
They need to be celebrated, man. We need to be celebrated, polo drivers. I mean, every now and then when you look on the social networks, you know, polo drivers are always blamed for something or another, you know. But I mean, it's a lot of people's first car. Somebody here, I mean, everyone has either been in a polo or they've driven a polo or they've owned a polo. If you haven't owned it, you've definitely been in one or interacted with one in some way or another, you know, so it's definitely a car to be celebrated. So we're just saying, let's celebrate the car instead of denting the image.
Okay. Well, I'm actually glad that someone deemed it fit to celebrate polo drivers and the car itself.
Sure. I'm sure you've been in one as well.
Now, BigSky, I believe that you also recently dropped an album. Tell us more about that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, that's my debut album. It's a very special project for me. The title of it's called It's Time. And the reason for that is that, you know, like I said, I've been in the game for quite a while. And the time is fitting now that the album drops. I've worked with people like Boii, as you mentioned, Bizizi and KG. I've worked with Kaba Kanal, Lou the DJ, and Sbhanga, you know, who features on Fire. Kushu Kushu. I think a lot of people will know Kushu Kushu, and POLO as well. Okay.
Now, just looking back and listening to your work, do you get a sense that, I mean, it is what you wanted? Well, what you've delivered is what you set out to deliver, and you've got no regrets, and there's nothing that you want to add or change, perhaps?
As an artist, you always feel like you could have done a little bit more, or you know, but I think people are enjoying the album. It's doing well on the downloads, so I'm happy with the product.
Okay. Now, I understand that you started your DJing career around the year 2003, isn't it? So what was it about being a DJ that appealed to you back then?
I think back then it was more just being an artist that appealed, you know. Maybe DJing was just an entry point for me. But I'm like the cliche goes. I'm those kids that used to perform at school. I used to do socials. I used to DJ at school. So it was something that was in the cards. But I went to school and studied something different. I did chemical engineering, but the music bug kept on calling and coming back to me. So yeah, that's how it started.
And you used to be a part of a group that was formed by DJ Mbuso called BFR. Take us through that journey and the role that it played in you becoming the artist that you are today.
Oh no, that played a very pivotal role. I mean, that's where I actually started. That's where I pressed the first cue on the CDJ. I was mentored by a guy called DJ Star, who was part of the group. Taught me literally everything that I know about DJing. And they recruited me into the group, and I became part of the cult. And I mean, I've never looked back ever since.
Yeah. BigSky, it suffers to mention that there's so many up-and-coming artists who look up to you for influence and motivation and inspiration, perhaps. And I suppose that you also got your own role models in this industry that you look up to.
Oh, no, most definitely DJ Fresh, Oskido, Black Coffee. I mean, even my own peers, people like Yokabza, Maporisa, Stoic, Angelic, those are the people that keep inspiring me to work even harder and reach higher heights.
Any plans of collaborations with the ones that have just mentioned?
Most definitely, probably this year, people need to look out for collabos with Gabza the Small, Angelic, possibly Stocky as well. Fresh and Mosquito, I'm not sure. I'll need to maybe go in and beg a bit harder,
Okay.
But yeah, people need to look out for a lot of collaborations this year. There's a lot of music that we already started working on, even though the album is out and we're pushing that. But there's the studio that has been kicking in with a lot of features that people need to expect this year.
BigSky, the coronavirus pandemic and ultimately the lockdown and the restrictions thereof have certainly changed the way that we do things. It has certainly changed the entertainment landscape, and it has affected so many artists in more ways than one. So in hindsight, having said that, I mean, how has it affected you? And, have you perhaps changed the way of how you do things? Because the show definitely needs to go on and the hustle needs to go on.
True. I think the one part that really affects us as artists is the live shows, because as a lot of people would know, the dynamics of music have changed drastically in terms of how people consume music, So with shows, it's like a guaranteed check. But now with shows being cancelled, it really affects us as artists. So this is now where we deliver the product to people and we ask the people to go out there and consume the product. We ask people to go to digital platforms, the legal ones where we get paid to consume the music there, whether you're streaming, whether you're downloading it, go out there. But obviously as well, it teaches us a different ball game of trying to find other ways of generating income from what we do, and side hustles as they are called.
Okay. Now that the single and the album are out, what else can we look forward to hearing from you in the new year?
Oh no, definitely. Like I said, more music is coming. Right now, what we're doing is pushing the POLO single. People should look out for a lot of interesting stuff. Obviously, the pandemic really affected us with the on the ground push that we had planned, but people need to look out for a lot of online marketing for POLO and giveaways and stuff like that. But going forward, they should just look forward to more music. And my artist as well, Sbhanga, is coming up with more music. And Choco, we are both on my record label.
Okay. And just before I let you go, BigSky, how do we connect with you?
Okay, people can connect with me at BigSky SA. That's at BigSky SABIGSA on Twitter, Instagram, and and Facebook. Pardon that. And they can contact me on email at djbigsky@gmail.com.
All right, BigSky, keep on releasing those hits, and we want to keep dancing, man. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
You too, man. Thank you. That's the Fire and Kushu Kushu hitmaker DJ BigSky, and he's been speaking to us about his music career as well as the new song called POLO. That's in appreciation of polo drivers and the car itself. All right, it is 6:45.